Hi there, this is Oliver. So, I'd like to share certain things about my character poses here that I drew recently. So, this is pretty much what I did with starting off with character poses here. So, you can see there's two characters that I'm doing it here. I usually plan out what I'm going to be doing here before I apply to drawing on. I pretty much do everything in digital drawing. I use Photoshop, but you don't really need Photoshop to do this. You can use any other drawing app to draw it, as long as the drawing has some sort of like really that you can do a really fine lines, not just a really normal stroke, but the stroke would be a lot more finer. I would prefer using that kind of drawing app. So again, let's let me share like a couple of things that I want to tell you in regards to how I execute certain part of the pose, especially dealing with two characters or three or four characters. The first thing I'll always gonna work on is gonna be the flow. The flow is a good start to understand what the character is trying to do by his action. So, like what you're seeing over here, basically I create like several lines over here, and then there's a dot point here, just to pinpoint like where the character's arm should be at, and then where the shoulders joint will be. And then once you have the flow for the character, that you understand where the character is moving by his action, then you can go with the joints. Okay, the joints is usually like you basically want to understand where the arm joint is, the shoulder joints, the wrist joint, and also like the knee joints, so that it's a lot easier for you to clarify your drawings, especially in terms of the poses of the character. Okay, for the beginners who are doing this, it's not gonna be easy when you're doing two poses. I prefer you to do one poses. You can watch one of my videos that I basically start with character poses on one type of character. Start out with an easy pose for the first thing first. Okay. Okay. On top of that, let me explain a little bit about what I just list out here: flow, joints, and shape here. The first thing that I just cover up is going to be the flow. As you can see, character's movement over here. I think I just talked about it a few minutes ago. Just to clarify, the flow is just like what the characters are pursuing by its movement. So if the movement is going towards where these characters is going, it's a lot easier for you to identify how his movement is going to partake. So joints will be later, once you understand the nature of the character's movement. It's a lot easier for you to work on joints. Okay, so once you get all the joints that you put in place, especially like you want to know where the hip is, the knee, and the ankle is, it's a lot easier for you to work on the next step, which is shapes. Okay, shapes is really important before you draw out the details of the character. You normally, like a beginner, would just start off like drawing the characters or like outlining the characters. It's not the best way to execute it. You don't want to draw anything from what you can see over here, but you have to plan out what the character should be doing. Like especially you have to block out characters, especially in regard with poses. I'm pretty sure whoever's doing environment drawing does have the same, pretty much the same techniques that we're using over here as well. So shapes, what I usually put here, like the arms especially, using mostly cylinder, and it comes with a cube, and then later on with sphere. Sphere is pretty much with like the character's joint. You don't really necessary to put sphere on it, but for me, I like to put sphere just to identify where the knee joints and the elbow joints and the wrist joint is. Okay. Other than that, the first basic you always want to start is going to be the cube. Cube would be the best one. Cylinder is also good. It just make you a lot simple to understand in a 3D view. You know, like especially you want to get to know how the shadow is going to be at. So, which is why a cylinder would be great stuff to begin with. But if you're a beginner, you don't really like using cylinder. But I mean, is good way to use cube for the first start. Okay. Again, let's start with this another character. As you can see over here, I don't really naturally just drop the shape first. I don't really go on like how I should start playing up with cubes and creating a cylinder. All I want to know is, you can see over here, I just want to understand the flow. Okay, once I clearly understand how the flow is going, now I should be starting working with the joints. Okay, you can see from here, like later I'm going to work on the shapes. You can see that the shape that I just figured out here, again, it's not going to be perfect when you start working on the joints, but as soon as you can see, like, there's a couple corrections that you can improve, you can always restructure the shapes later before you going on the final phase, which is going to be drawing the details of all the characters. Okay, again, this is just my opinion. I just draw out basically from my own knowledge, and I personally love to share to artists or people that want to get to know about figure drawings. That's why I do it here in this video. Again, if there is anything that you are not really good at, I would say you look deeply into my tutorial. I have certain things that I can share regards with drawing shapes, especially like parts, the knees, the legs, the ankles as well, how you actually draw it in detail. Again, I'm not really that great in mastering all of the as you know, there's a couple of videos, there are really couple of guys channels, like they are really good with like drawing drawing arms and drawing legs and anything that they can do best over my drawing, but I can do something that I can share with. Okay, so like shading is also, you can see in this video, shading is also one part of the technique to get realism to it. Mostly you actually start up with working by its color, toning the character first. I think it's going to be the first, like doing gray colors, I would say, is always something that you want to define first, and then later on you go on with the shadows, which is the darker part here. Again, I'm not going to cover up a lot more in this video. I'm just basically comment on it. Yeah, I mean, shading is just one part of the thing that you want to understand about lighting. If you get to know a lot about lighting, you would start to learn a little bit about how the objects hits to a certain parts that there's that you can find where the shadow should be located at. I would say start with cube, object, and then sphere, and then later on with cylinder. And once you get a hold of it, you'll understand better when it comes to drawing anatomy characters. So again, you can see in this video, mostly I work on is going to be the flow. Once you understand the flow, you can understand a lot about the pose really well. Okay, for me, if I should know, like a few years back, I would have started this step first. Okay, I wouldn't start with drawing the outline of the character, because I'm gonna have a lot of mistakes later on, and I'm gonna waste a lot of time. here you don't really waste a lot of time. You just basically plan out what you're going to be drawing basically, and once you identify all the characters poses with a simple shape, and you got all the flows correct, you can define the characters like I did over here. So again, it comes with your ways in doing layer by layer. I prefer that if you draw it layer by layer, it'll be a lot easier, and you're not gonna have a lot of corrections later on. Again, take every layers by layers when you about to do something. So let's say you're working on shading. I would say you just separate into layers. Don't draw it in between the lines as well. Separate it into layers. I usually do that, and when I do it in digital drawing, I would that's what I'll be doing. But if you're doing traditionally, I would say it's better to begin with maybe a transparent sheet of paper, or a fine paper that you can see, which is a little bit translucent. So I would say work on that. Yeah, otherwise you're gonna have a lot of mistakes later on. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and anything that you would like to comment, feel free to comment me on the comment section. And that's it for today.